How and why? The two most asked questions that all of us wonder, right? How do we get this job promotion? How do we get the person of our dreams? How do we make it through tough times? Why did this person leave me? Why did my parents get divorced? Why am I in poverty? Why is life so hard? Why am I depressed? We ask these two questions, but not a lot of people will ask those questions and do the third thing, which is take step and take action. The good thing about asking these two questions is we can find tools and solutions to a lot of things. How did I survive the hood in the street wars of Detroit? And why would I go back? You would think everything you see on the news, everything you see on the media, and you see a lot of violence, you see a lot of people losing their life on a daily basis. So how did I survive this neighborhood in the street war? And why would I go back? My name is Trey Little. I was born and raised in Detroit. I had a teenage mama. She was 15 when she gave birth to me. And then 4 years later, my dad was shot and killed. And it was all due to the streets. So you can imagine a teenage mom and then not having my dad. So I'm roaming the streets as I got older. And when I was around 13 years old, I'm trying to figure my life out. And I see that the neighborhood I'm in, okay, I'm going to school, I'm enjoying my life, playing video games. But once I seen everything going on around me, it was traumatizing. And I said, how am I going to make it out of this? But it was, why me? Why am I growing up like this? Why am I in poverty? Why don't I have my dad? Why don't I have money? Why can't I afford everything that everybody else can afford? And I started saying, why me, why me, why me? And then I said, you know what? How am I going to make it out of this? How am I going to accomplish my dreams? How am I going to survive this? Okay, well, there's this guy on the corner that I seen when I was walking to the store. He had a gun. Didn't nobody mess with him. They all respected him. Let me ask him, how did he become this way? So he taught me. I see the guy pulling up. He got the nice car. He got the sounds. How did you get the money to get this car? Teach me how to make money. Teach me how to save. Teach me how to think about money. He taught me. And every day I woke up saying, how? And I said, I want to travel. I want to do music. I want to tell my story like the artists that I look up to. People like 50 Cent, people like Jay-Z. How am I going to do this? So I started asking the local rappers, how can I make music? They took me to the recording studio. I got $5, started recording music. And then I started learning all the different tools to survive this neighborhood. So it was why at first, and then how. And I started learning. And number 3, I took action every time somebody taught me. So then once my mama moved us to the suburbs, I'm like, okay, I'm recording music now. I want to go and take this further. So I started saying, how can I do this? So I met someone who worked with one of Eminem's audio engineers. And then he said he was signed to a record label. He used to tour and he made it as a famous rock star. And then eventually they let it go and they stopped doing it. But I said, how did you do this? How did you get on the radio? How? And I just kept asking how, right? And he started showing me. And then every time he showed me, I took action. So next thing you know, years of hard work, I make it out of this neighborhood. Now I'm in the suburbs, performing for like local venues with my music about growing up in the streets of Detroit and everything I experienced, surviving it. And then I'm traveling around the country. I'm in Iowa. So I go from the sticks, from the hood, and I'm in Iowa riding ATVs. Like, dang, you can do this? I'm like, I thought the police was gonna try to follow it. Like, you can ride. Like, I'm like, you can really do this. And then I'm realizing I didn't know what an acre was. And now being a real estate, I'm like, okay. And I'm seeing acres. And we do a festival with 10,000 people or something like that in this big cornfield. And I'm like, this place is crazy. But I enjoyed it, right? And I started saying, how did you get all this property? How, right? So career is taking off and it's going well. Radio, performing in front of my favorite artists, meeting some of my favorite celebrities, and even doing concerts with them. And then 2020 hit, and the pandemic hit. People lost jobs, people lost money, and it was tough. People didn't even want to be around the people, they special person. They was like, no, I'm staying away from you. Like, this ain't working right. I'm staying home. I'm not going over there, So they blamed it on the virus. So, yeah, I just exposed somebody. But, so that happened, and I'm thinking like, okay, I'm not on tour no more. What am I gonna do, right? And I'm saying, why is this happening? It was back to that same place. Why? I made it so far to get out, and I'm enjoying my life, and I'm sitting there. What am I gonna do? So I got on social media, started posting videos and telling stories, and then I went back to that same neighborhood, right? The one I made it out of. And at this time, I'm in the suburbs. I'm far away from this. let me go back and share everything that I learned with the people in the community since I have downtime. Because a lot of people, I realized, was asking these same questions, how and why. So when I went back, I'm thinking I'm gonna share my story, and this neighborhood was completely abandoned. The whole neighborhood was abandoned. So what happened next was my heart was broke because I couldn't really share these stories with no one. I found out that a lot of people died, they went to prison, or people moved out when they could, and people just let the whole neighborhood go, and houses were torn down and it was abandoned. I see my childhood home, and I took a video. I said, I wanna buy this house one day. And the house was, my sister sent me a link. The house was on sale for $1,000. The city of Detroit was selling it. But guess what? I didn't know how to buy real estate. At that point, I knew how to travel, how to make music. I bought stocks, and I was doing well in that, but I didn't know how to get in real estate. So I missed out on buying that. So I went back a few years later, and I was working on learning investing and learning a lot of different things. And once my sister sent me that house, it broke my heart because I didn't know how, and it was only worth $1,000. And this is where all the dreams started, and the hustle and everything that I learned, those same tools, right? So I go back, I shoot a video on TikTok and say, I wanna buy this. The video hit 6 million views on TikTok. And at the time, my TikTok was exploding, and I'm getting millions of views on all my videos. Someone said, you missed out on this house, but you should buy the rest of the block. So I said, that's a great idea. So I started learning. I started saying, how can I do this? Why is the neighborhood falling apart, but how can I fix it? So I started asking those same questions with that same desperation that I had before. So I got around people who could teach me those tools. And at the same time, I was going through a hard circumstance in life where I lost everything and realized being in a neighborhood that people told me I could lose my life in, I was the same as the people that I was raised around that taught me those tools. Police jumped out on me the same way. I was getting denied for jobs the same way. And what they was asking was how and why. I seen people lose people that they love. I seen people try to get up and keep fighting, but life was choking all the breath out of them. And I realized it was up to me to go back and give them the tools. So I started working on buying this block back without no experience, failed my real estate test 6 times at that time. Crazy, right? But I started partnering with some of the biggest developers in Detroit that helped me purchase 6 or 7 pieces of property, helped me start developing it. And I did it with the community and started getting support from all these different celebrities. And I started realizing one night, one of the guys who inspired me when I was sleeping on my mama's floor, right? At 2020, life got hard. And I went from touring to sleeping on the floor. I remember the night that one of the guys who was helping me mentally focus on my purpose and not giving up on buying these properties, he said, I can't let you give up on this. And then when it was time for me to bring him on my project, his friend had just got shot that night before. And with tears in his eyes, I said, hey, you can't give up. The way you helped me not settle after 2020 and everything fell apart, I need you to hold on and I need you to push forward with me and make this happen. So he said, why is this happening? How am I gonna get through this? And we asked that question together. And when we found those tools, we both realized that we can change our communities, inspire the world. And as we find those tools, because we answered those questions, we can impact thousands. And it don't matter. All the people around the world can look at what you're doing and the tools that you got to solve your problems. Thousands of people ask those same questions, how and why. Make sure you take that third step and keep going and take action. Thank you. My name is Trey Little.